Hana. I hope you're all having a great week. For those of you visiting for the first time, hi, my name is Kai, and here on this channel we talk about true crime cases that happen in the 808 state. So if you're interested in true crime and Hawaii, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button and turn on all your notifications so that you don't miss any uploads. Today's case is going to take us to the island of Kauai. This is a solved homicide case. This is going to be your warning, guys. This case is very graphic. It's tragic. It's heartbreaking. With that being said, guys, let's just start from the beginning. Kendra Elizabeth Lewis, better known to family and friends as Kenny, was born on February 21st, 1992 in Anchorage, Alaska, to parents Maria and Michael Lewis. Unfortunately, Kendra's parents would end up splitting up and going their separate ways. And in 1998, when Kendra was about 6 years old, her mother decided to pack up the family and move from Alaska to Green Valley, California. In California, Kendra attended Alta Sierra Elementary School in Grass Valley, California. She also spent a year at the Nevada City School of Arts. Some of the things Kendra enjoyed was being in the Girl Scouts, the Yuba River, and art. The family lived in Grass Valley, California until 2004, and that's when Kendra's mom decided to pack up the family and move back to Alaska. Back in Alaska, Kendra would end up meeting a boy by the name of Stephen Michael Wilson, and the both of them would become romantically involved. Kendra and Stephen would become heavily into drugs, and because Stephen was a drug dealer, it wasn't easy for Kendra to break away. Around January 2012, Kendra decides to move to the island of Kauai with Stephen. Kendra's family was against this move and tried to persuade Kendra not to go through with the move. On Kauai, Kendra got a job as a cook at the Olympic Cafe restaurant in Kapa'a. After a few months of being on Kauai, Kendra realized that she didn't want to be with Stephen anymore. She wanted to break away from Stephen, she wanted to get out of the drug scene, and she wanted to clean up her life. On or around April 11, 2013, Kendra told Stephen that she was done with the relationship and that she was breaking up with him. Now, this did not sit well with Stephen. He got very upset. He could not accept the fact, and he did not want to accept the fact that Kendra was breaking up with him. So the both of them got into an argument and they began fighting. For the next 2 weeks, Kendra would not show up to work, and none of her family and close friends were able to get a hold of her. When people would ask Stephen if he had heard from Kendra, he would tell everybody that she had met a new guy, she met someone new, and that she was with this new guy on the west side of the island. The couple shared a 2-bedroom condo at Kawai House Sports Villas in Kapa'a. On April 26, 2013, Kendra's uncle went over to the condo to look for Kendra. Some sources say that it was Kendra's uncle that went over to the condo, and other sources say that it was Kendra's roommate that went over to the condo to look for Kendra. Either way, somebody that cared about Kendra went over to the condo to look for her. For purposes of filming, I'm just going to say that it was her uncle that went to the condo to look for her. Kendra's uncle notices that there's a lot of flies in the condo. There seems to be this strong, foul odor that is coming from the condo. So Kendra's uncle opens Kendra's bedroom door, and when he opens the door, he realizes that there's a towel that has been rolled up and kind of wedged under the door. Kendra's uncle didn't realize that he would be stepping into the most horrific scene. In the bedroom was a body that was lying on the floor, covered by a blanket. Now, some sources say that the body was on the bed. Other sources say that the body was on the floor. Again, for filming purposes, we're just going to say that the body was on the floor. When the uncle pulled back the blanket, he couldn't believe what he was looking at. It was his niece, Kendra. She had been dead in the bedroom. She wasn't on the west side, like Steven said, and she didn't go run off with a new guy. From April 11, 2013, Kendra's lifeless body was in the bedroom of her own condo. Steven was arrested and confessed to the arresting officers that he was responsible for killing Kendra.
Gruesome find for the family of a 21-year-old woman murdered on Kauai. 26-year-old Stephen Michael Wilson appeared in court today. Court documents show that he admitted he stabbed Lewis to death on April 21st after she tried to break up with him. She says that he then repeatedly tried to kill himself. 5 days later, Lewis's uncle found her decomposing body at Kauai Sports Villas in Kapa'a, where the two were staying at a condo. Family says that Wilson was a drug dealer and user. They say that Kendra left her home state of Alaska to try to get a fresh start. Lewis's uncle, Nate Landry, talked about the severe warnings his family gave to Wilson, while Kendra's dad, Mike, told us about the daughter who lit up his life.
They had their hands around his throat saying, "Look, man, you're a piece of garbage. We really don't want you around her, but if you end up hurting her, we're going to bury you."
She was the biggest little Indian in Alaska. She, it was the spark that ignited everything. There wasn't a time there wasn't a smile on her face, or she had a huge effect on lives all over the place.
Up until recently, she had been working at the Olympic Cafe in Kapa'a. Landry says that Kendra was trying to clean up her life and reunite with her family. Wilson's bail has been set at $1 million.
Autopsy report would reveal Kendra was stabbed to death with a knife. Steven had stabbed Kendra twice in the abdomen, twice in the chest, and in her neck. He also stabbed Kendra multiple times in the back. Steven told police that after he killed Kendra, he laid down next to her and tried to take his own life by cutting his wrists. I guess that wasn't working because he said that after that, he tried to inject bleach. That also didn't work, so he said he considered getting into a police shootout so that he would go out that way. Steven said after he killed Kendra, he went out on a drug binge and left her body in the bedroom because he couldn't bring himself to dispose of her body. Stephen Michael Wilson does end up pleading guilty to the murder charges to avoid a trial. Steven is convicted for murdering Kendra, and he receives a life sentence with the possibility of parole. And I believe prosecuting attorneys were pushing for 40 years. So that means that Steven would have to serve at minimum at least 40 years before he can go in front of a parole board. So that means Steven will be about 67 years old before he will ever be considered for possible parole. And now again, this is just a possible parole. It's not a guarantee that he's going to come out after 40 years. During Steven's time in court, I do believe that he did take responsibility. He did acknowledge that he is responsible for murdering Kendra. Kendra Elizabeth Lewis was described as a person that always had a smile on her face. She had a light that always shined, and she was loved by so many people. Kendra had a drive that never gave up and a heart that was strong, caring, compassionate, and loving. Kendra was a great person, and she had so many ambitions and goals in life. All right, guys, that's all I have for you on this case today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Bye.